What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Power Zone. My name is Brad, and it is an amazing day today. We got tons of stuff to cover. I know Nvidia is the big stock on campus today, but there's other ones that are going to be reporting earnings as well. We're going to be covering those. And but let's get, obviously Nvidia is going to be the one that we're going to be covering the most. But we got Rivian, Etsy, Lucid, Dutch Bros, and anything else that you guys might want me to cover, I'd be happy to do so. There's plenty of other stocks that are reporting today, such as Synopsys, Sonova, Marathon Oil, Suncor. So if there's anything else out there you guys want me to react to, I certainly will. But welcome. I know that there's going to be a lot of new folks coming in. NVIDIA is always a big day for the channel. Anytime I'm covering earnings, this is one of those days that kind of goes a little crazy. So if you're visiting for the first time, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more reactions to earnings like this. My name is Brad. This is the Powered Zone. I also have Don, my partner in crime. I think he'll come in a little bit later. We'll be reacting to this, but I react to earnings throughout the entire earnings season, Monday through Thursday, 3:45 p.m. Eastern time. I take Fridays off because Fridays there's not any earnings in the after hours anyway. So great 4-day week for me. Nevertheless, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to get notified when I go live for the next round of earnings for for tomorrow, I should say. So tomorrow actually is also going to be a big day for earnings. Square, Carvana, Mercado Libre, Booking, Intuit, Live Nation. So you're not going to miss those either, especially if you're invested in those. Nobody covers stocks like I do as far as earnings are concerned on anywhere on YouTube. And really, I don't know if anywhere in media, I think anywhere that covers it just like this. Kind of give it a more of a, I don't know, almost kind of like a sports commentator. It's what I feel like when I'm talking about these stocks. So go ahead and do that for me. I would appreciate it if you hit that like on the way in the door too. But guys, super pumped about what's to come. Let's get on with it, and just kind of real quick before we get into Nvidia's expectations, looking at the S&P 500. We've been talking about this, and I've been mentioning over the last week or so that it feels a bit toppy. Like the S&P 500 finally feels like it should start correcting at some point. We've seen this straight upward movement, a lot of stocks getting ahead of themselves. We saw some really interesting reactions, especially with a stock like Palo Alto yesterday. And I felt as if we're starting to make that retreat. It all started with the Fed meeting, Fed talking basically about how they're not really seeing any sort of rate cuts in the near future. And so we started to see a little bit of the market wavering because of that. Minutes came out today. If you guys didn't catch the Fed minutes from January's meeting, and they were released today, most Fed officials noted risks of moving too quickly and easing interest rates during the most recent meeting. And recent discouraging data has prompted a wavering conviction in that the central bank will cut rates in June, seeing the most probable timing. I would be surprised if I think June's actually a bit too soon. That's according to Yahoo Finance, by the way. And so I think that would be too soon. If they do talk about rate cuts in June, watch for the S&P 500 to have a hell of a second half. Why? Well, most stocks, in particular tech stocks and especially speculative stocks that aren't making any money, are going to be those real sensitive stocks to interest rates, especially when they go up. They do the same thing when interest rates come down. Interest rates start to come down, stocks will go up traditionally, generally speaking, right? Not everything, but generally speaking. So, a lot of those stocks that during when interest rates were damn near zero, we saw a lot of stuff go bananas, right? Teladoc was $300 a stock or a share, and now it's below 20. So like the stocks like that, and Nvidia is also in that conversation, not necessarily the same caliber type stock, but as far as sensitivity to these interest rates, tech's going to be really sensitive to that sort of thing. So I would just kind of keep an eye on this. I think that if Fed comes in and starts talking about pushing back rate cuts, we're going to probably see more of a retreat from the S&P 500 in the overall market, and then that correction could end up actually taking place. I still think that is very much on my radar from now until June, and then we'll kind of see what the second half how that turns out with what the Fed is with what direction the Fed's going to go. But nevertheless, without further ado, we do have Don in the house. What's up, my man?
What's happening, man?
Not much. Was just covering the market overall, and wanted before we got into Nvidia and everything else. So I was just kind of
Mhm.
covering generally what was happening while people were rolling in.
Ooh. So what'd you say? We basing out?
I
We
was
going
just saying
sideways or down?
generally. I mean, and obviously this is well, yeah, I got knocked out of your charts here, but
I got it.
I had the S&P 500 pulled up, and so uh, I was just looking at that and that trend line that you had drawn there. Kind of looks like we're at an interesting spot. So
Mhm.
thinking that with what we heard from the Fed meeting minutes and that there isn't any sort of rate cut discussion till at least June, I think that could even get pushed out a little bit further. Could could be a catalyst for stocks to start coming down the other way.
Yeah, and deleting this, I'm gonna delete this trend line now because overall, I was just kind of showing off where we have pivoted before. Because we were talking about a bounce out of this blue zone right here. But if
Yeah,
we actually just delete this, and I always want to be careful with the drawings because you don't want to sell yourself a position.
sure.
But if we just delete that, we've done nothing for. I mean, we've been in this range since February 6th. Market's gone nowhere. Been a lot
Right.
of trading opportunities, but nowhere other than maybe a lower high getting put in. So we can actually just grab that top zone right there. Actually, that's your full blown zone right there. Nothing but Winnie the Pooh hanging out up top.
Right.
So we can't talk about anything being bullish till we get above that. And after the run it's had, going sideways or a pullback, I don't think would be uncalled for.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the YouTubers. They're saying that was the high. They called it. Uh, I guess it'd be impressive if that was the high to call it 3 4 days ago. Sorry, I've seen a lot of them say that.
Oh
But
no, I haven't seen that personally, but I mean, obviously, I don't give a shit about any of those anybody else talking about it, but so I haven't seen it, but um I've just, with everything else that we've been seeing, instead, especially a lot of stocks that have gotten ahead of themselves, we're seeing a lot of lofty valuations from a lot of these bigger players. And so I think that there's something to be said about that. And then along with the fact that interest rate cuts aren't happening, I think there's a lot to kind of like say, okay, I think it's time for these the back off, a little bit of
mhm,
correction, no big deal. I'm not calling for any kind of crash or anything like that, but correction seems reasonable. And I think 4,800 could be that spot. That's kind of where I'm looking at on the S&P. Um, as a potential correction point, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But second half, if the rate cuts start to get louder, I think there's certainly opportunity for that to see that turn around, a good dip buying opportunity on stocks second half of the year.
yeah. Yeah, I called out a correction. I think if it happens, it's Q1. It's kind of now or never,
Yeah.
simply because of it being the election year.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
That's it. Yep.
yeah, so I figured because they're gonna start pumping things up later, and then a correction just to so everybody does know. So when I call out a correction, a pullback is like 1 to 9%. Corrections 10 to 20, and then a crash is 20 and further. And an actual correction, just going from the highs, puts us right here at this zone, the 45 that, but I think we'd actually have I think that'd be a great, kind of if you're seeing here on the chart, testing old highs, what do they say, old resistance, new support.
Yep.
Rejected off that rally, base rally. Technically speaking, that would be a great spot, but I do think we're gonna have a hard time getting below just shy of your 4,800, just right here in this little box.
Yeah.
I do think we have a hard time getting below that.
Yep.
And also the stopwatch is a thing. How long do we stay in that range? Because eventually the buyers do come back and push things up. So if we were to ever to test something like this trend line right here, we could go sideways for a little bit and then start bouncing off something like that. Now
Yeah.
we're just back on board.
Yep.
Everything.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so it looks like we got a lot of folks rolling in here. So let's go ahead and get into some of the Nvidia um, chatter. So you can see Nvidia on the right hand side of the screen here. We'll get
Mhm.
into the 5 minute chart there. It looks like you got the 15, but we'll get into the 5 minute as we get closer to the close. We've got about 6 minutes to go. But Don, put out an email to our subscribers, which by the way, you guys can click the link in the description. It's absolutely free to be a part of our daily uh, email list. I put out emails every day regarding what to look ahead. and also special news items like earlier this week I put out one on Tesla. So if you guys want access to that just to help me build my community, or our community rather, go ahead and click that link in the description. It's absolutely free. All you gotta do is enter your email. You'll get an email from me every day, and would love to have you guys help us grow the community in that way. But Nvidia earnings per share expected to come in at 464. $20.55 billion in revenue is also expected. 37 upward revisions from the street and zero downgrades. This to me, Don, kind of smells like some sort of rug pull is going to happen after these earnings. Nvidia is trading at 56 times next year's earnings, and $1.72 trillion stock. You've talked before about how Nvidia is struggling to even just keep up with AI, and I agree with that. And I think Nvidia is going to be just fine in the long run.
Mhm.
But the hype is so crazy right now that you have to imagine that Nvidia has to do something absolutely insane in these earnings for it to continue to go up.
Yeah, it's more likely that it goes sideways or down, maybe up a little bit, than it does shoot up like some people think. Not to say that it's off the table because their past few earnings they've come in and just laughed at old numbers. But they have their patents, they have their market share, they got a pretty solid beat on it, but they can't. What I don't what I'll be surprised if they go up anymore is what are they going to say about demand that we don't already know?
Yeah,
Like, let's say you got 20 trillion chips, orders, but it's going to take you the next 50 years to print that, and to fill those orders. Then who cares about the demand right now? They have their demand. They're going as fast as they can. Nobody's just sitting around a factory just hanging out. They're making these chips as fast as they can.
yeah.
So I would be surprised. Uh, I actually think they beat earnings across the board, but I bet we get a red reaction or I don't want to call it a dud, but I bet some people who are long options, they're going to take a haircut in the morning. That's my bet on that one. Even
Yeah.
Shane Haley says that it's going to stay flat and screw all options traders. If
I
you are
saw
an
somebody
option buyer, yeah.
somebody said, I hope this is a Brad is bearish on Palantir type situation. I was never bearish on Palantir. Go back and watch that stream. Um, cautiously optimistic is allowed. But nevertheless, yeah. So it wouldn't surprise me. Somebody was asking, should we go be long or short Nvidia? I remember, I think it was KD asked that question. And yeah, by the way, hit that thumbs up as you guys are rolling in here. Um, I don't think I'd be either. I think I'd just wait to see what earnings do and then make the play after that, because it's kind of a situation, and I've talked about kind of equated Nvidia to Tesla, especially like pre-COVID Tesla, or like during COVID Tesla is one of those situations where I wouldn't want to short that stock, and I also wouldn't want to go long because the volatility is absolutely insane, and so and the predictability is like just out the window here. So I would just not do anything until we see what their earnings entail, and then you can take action after that. But if you miss out on some 10% run that Nvidia has after earnings, so be it. I don't care. But I wouldn't want to be in a stock that's up this much, has so much hype around it, and then all of a sudden the rug gets pulled out from under everybody because earnings weren't what everyone was hoping they would be. So wouldn't be something that I would want to make a trade on.
Yeah, I actually sold the 850 calls. So and so that thumbnail the other day wasn't clickbait as far as I'm selling Nvidia. I think the majority of the run is, gosh, I'm gonna get laughed at hard if they just come out and destroy things. But I do think the majority is done. Granted, I've had it from less than 100, and in my investment account, that's I sold the 850s. And if I let it go, so be it. I'm going to use that for the next big move, which I think is AI. What's everybody doing with these chips? Everybody's just talking about Nvidia because they're making the chips, but nobody's talking about what they're going to do with it. So I hope it does. I hope it just absolutely sends it. Collected 505 on those on the 850 calls. I'll let go of those shares at 850. I'll be fine with that, and then go. I couldn't. I'm sorry. I was in my 720 put. I haven't said this on YouTube. I did close that one. It was up. I closed it. I didn't want to risk it, so I will be a little bit salty if it just sends it to 300.
Yeah.
because that would suck. Not gonna lie.
Um, so markets officially closed. We also do have other stocks that we're going to react to. Etsy as well. Real quick, I just before we get into Nvidia even further, $1.33, $827.19 million in revenue there. Street's kind of split on what the performance is going to be. Earnings for Rivian, excuse me, a loss of $1.32, $1.26 billion in revenues expected there. Lucid also reporting earnings. Um, and they're expected to come in a loss of 32 cents, $181 million in revenue. And my personal favorite, Dutch Bros. A lot of people want to hate on this stock, and that's fine. It is expensive, but the growth here is absolutely insane. They're expected to come in at 1 cent per share, $252 million in revenue there. So I'm actually excited to see what Dutch Bros has to say. But obviously, Nvidia is the big dog on campus here.
Yeah, Dutch Bros is nuts. I probably could throw a rock right now and hit 3 of them, and that's just new construction,
Yeah,
just from all the ones that they've built around me.
the growth is wild, absolutely wild. All right, so you got the Nvidia on the 5 minute chart there. We got
Yeah.
Rivian looking like that's on the 15. Um, and so yeah, we're gonna sit here and stick around. Let us know in the comments first of all where you guys are watching from. So got 167 of you guys coming in. Looks like view count's coming up here a little bit. So hit that thumbs up on your way in the door. But let us know where you guys are watching from. Let's do a little roll call. Kind of one of my favorite things to do. So let us know where you're watching from. And then also, what is it that you want to see out of NVIDIA today? Are you waiting around for some sort of drop to buy the dip on? Are you shorting this thing? Let me know. Would love to hear from you guys on that. Oh yeah, everybody loves to shout out where they're tuning in from. Watching from Quebec. Nice.
Oh, yeah, Ukraine's in
Virginia.
the house.
Oh wow. The
Mark says,
UK.
"My porch, Berlin." There we go.
NYC. Shane Haley's not watching from Ukraine. I know he's watching from Washington.
Maybe he's in the
Uh,
Situation Room watching.
yeah, Nima Dog. Yeah, we reacted to Palo Alto yesterday, and yeah, that stock got wrecked. Um, and again, that's why it kind of gives me pause on Nvidia too. I mean, there's lots of optimism on Palo Alto yesterday, and lots. The bar was set pretty high there too, and it just got crushed off of guidance numbers, in fact. And so that's something that could impact NVIDIA here as well. If they're struggling to keep up with demand, the guidance numbers could come in lighter than what people are expecting as well, which ultimately would probably be the reason that NVIDIA actually gets wrecked here after hours, if that's to happen. If they come in and say, hey, we've increased our efforts to keep up with demand and it's all systems go,
I can see that.
I mean, I think that NVIDIA would go bananas if they said something like that. India, nice. Peru, I love it. I love
How
it.
many are from Turkey right now? I've seen that a few times.
Yeah, I saw somebody, yeah,
Either
correct.
trolling or trying to make me hungry.
Go Viral says no Dutch Bros around here in New Jersey. Yeah, they haven't quite made the East Coast yet, but like Midwest and West, they're everywhere. And trust me, Go Viral, they'll make their way here. You'll start to see them on the East Coast before long. I think they're trying to grow like 3,500 locations a year or over the next several years.
90 days.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Let's check in to see if there's anything else moving. Why don't you pull up on that left side, Don? See if Lucid's moving at all.
I will roast anybody if I see someone in the comments saying it's dumping or taking off, and I come
Oh
over here
yeah,
and see nothing. Automatic timeout.
yeah. Nima Dog, I didn't say it was a buy at 280. I said that would be where I would look for it for an initial buy would be at 280. That I had mentioned yesterday that I thought that there was a high likelihood it could reach those levels. And that would be kind of the first place I would start. That's where Don had drawn out. I believe I think Don had zones there on Palo Alto, or yeah, Palo Alto, and that's kind of what led me to that.
Oh, get
Uh,
ready for the dump on Nvidia.
oh yeah, is it pumping up? Yeah, I see that.
Well, it's moved $5. Etsy's going for it though.
Yeah, Palo Alto closed the day at 262, 261.97. That's crazy. Down 28% off of some light guidance numbers. That's really what it came down to.
Kills me how big these zones are on the 5 minute. Ooh, there goes Etsy. Turns
Yeah,
out
Etsy
pallets aren't the thing anymore.
or masks. Etsy was like the number one mask distributor.
You mean cloth for your face? Those were
Yeah,
never masks being sold on there.
no, but yes, that was.
It did make not smart people happy.
Yeah.
Sorry, I won't try to troll anybody like that. Some of those masks were just
Well, yeah, they were
annoying.
jokes. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Etsy. So they came in at 62 cents. The estimate there was at 78. Q4 revenue came in at 842.3 million. The expectation on revenue was 827. So they missed on earnings per share, but beat on revenue by a ton, really. Those are your initial numbers on that.
Nothing. Just so everybody does know, purple is a weekly zone, and yellow is 4-hour daily. So some of these will seem monstrous if you're down here on the 5 minute, but there's a lot of 5 minute candles inside of 1 day or 1 week. So if anyone ever truly is on the 5 minute time frame, uh, I would just keep the yellow box in the back of your mind. I wouldn't necessarily go nuts on it.
Yeah.
Nvidia better be. I would die laughing if Nvidia is already out and that's all the move we got. I'm
It'd
pretty
be
sure
like
every YouTuber is live right now.
so
Everyone's talking
underwhelming.
about it.
Yeah. That'd be the most underwhelming thing ever.
I
Yeah,
would
you know how I
never
can
trade
tell
Nvidia again.
everybody's live for Nvidias because 215. While I appreciate that those of you watching, there's 215 concurrents here right now. Usually, Nvidia earnings bring me somewhere around 400 to 500, just
Yeah.
randomly. So, like, I know now that there's viewers that are evenly distributed across some other YouTube channels, but I don't see any numbers on Nvidia just yet. Q4 revenue for Etsy was 842 million versus 827 that was expected. Net income was 83 million, so the adjusted EBITDA margin was at 28%. That's damn good, though. I mean, despite them coming in and missing on earnings, they beat revenue and margins are great. Let's see if I can find anything else here on this.
Ooh. I can tell you guys right now, I will be in Palo Alto tomorrow.
Yeah, what an overreaction that was.
Yeah, right to a zone. So we gapped right below this zone. So anybody had stop orders right below that, that's filling full send down to this one. But I gotta say, so I'm gonna put my alerts. Hang on, right here, and I make these alerts pink lines now, just so everybody who has the charts can have them. So tomorrow, if that pumps up and the alert goes off, then I'm buying. If it gaps down, sells off, I'll never know. I'll never care. But I do want to get into it. So likely tomorrow, I'll be selling some 260 puts on that for anybody that's going to be interested in that play. Just to say, I called it. Some more talking about how much money I made or anything like that on the play after. This is it. Okay, sorry. I'm just checking comments.
No,
That's why I
so
figured I'd take over the charts while you work.
initially, no, that's fine. Initially, I had Palo Alto at 280 before today. That was kind of like my first stop, and then 260. That was going to be that next area. So,
Mm.
um, kind of crazy. I wasn't expecting it to go below 280, and kind of surprised that it did.
Let's see. Lisa saying Pan W long calls. That would be one. If I were to do that, I would buy the 260 calls for probably July of 25. I would go a leap on that one. I need Rivian to do the exact opposite. I need Rivian at 1750. As soon as I said that, it just drops. What a pile. Okay, no, I need
Yeah,
Rivian up. I have
Rivian's
1750 calls sold. I wanted to let some shares go and buy Google with it.
yeah, stock's down around 7%. So obviously those numbers are being released here. So we covered Etsy there. They missed on earnings per share, beat on revenue. All the other numbers seem to halfway decent, which is probably why the stock's kind of just chilling where it's at. Rivian looks like, let's see, it's down around 7% still.
That better recover. That better be a stop hunt.
What did you went long on Rivian here?
I have shares and I'm selling calls against it. Um, but I need to I'm selling calls on a lot of things with the intention of just letting it go and getting out because I want to use those funds to buy my next big four.
Yeah,
And Rivian was one of them. I have quite a few calls sold on this.
yeah,
But I mean, my average cost is still 16, so I'm down on the shares for sure. I will say the premiums were jacked on Rivian, so I'm not surprised that there is a big move on this. Because for a $16 stock, I made a lot off of those off the calls.
nice. Guys, hit that thumbs up button if you're liking the stream so far. Certainly appreciate you guys tuning in. Rivian's numbers are in. They came in at $1.32 billion in revenue. Estimate there was at 1.25. Q4 vehicles that were delivered were 13,972 versus 14,302. So they missed on about 400 vehicles there. Q4 production, 17,500 vehicles. The estimate there was 16.5, so beat there. They see 2024 adjusted EBITDA loss at 2.7 billion. The estimated loss was 2.6, so they missed on that guidance as well. They see fiscal year production 57,000. The estimate was 80,000. So they also cut 10% salary jobs as well. Not enough to help the stock out, though, unfortunately. The stock's now down 13%, continuing to get crushed. And I think the real big headline here is going to be that production number. The expectation was 80,000, and they can't even get to 75% of that this year, according to Rivian, at 57,000 is their expectation. So stock's continuing to get hammered here, now down nearly 14%.
Looks like we're seeing right across the board. Also, that's the last time I buy anything that's not Tesla. Yeah. But the reason I'm in Rivian though is because I do think their partnership with Amazon and Ford is going to be. I think they have some beneficial contacts there, and
Yeah.
Ford is, Farley and Elon. I feel like they're just BFFs sometimes.
Yeah.
I feel like that could be beneficial as they start to ramp up because we've seen all the EVs, a lot of them come and go. So the fact that Rivian made it through all of that is why I started to pick it up down here.
Yeah.
So nothing even changes. The only reason I even want to get rid of Rivian is to buy something else. I think we're gonna be better. It'll be better fit to buy. I'm buying Meta. I'm buying Apple again. I just did a stream about this. Meta, Apple, Google, and Microsoft, and I'm going in on all of those. So that's why I wanted to just let Rivian go, just to use those funds.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, if I didn't have that, I would still be in Rivian, no problem.
Um, with that being said, Dutch Bros has also come out with their earnings. Dutch Bros came in and at 4 cents per share. Their estimate was at 1 cent per share, a penny per share. So pretty decent beat there. $254 million in revenue. The expectation was 252. So another beat there. Total revenue grew 25.9% year over year. I'm telling you guys, like, it's expensive and the stock doesn't move much. A lot of people will tell you that it's just super risky. If you have the patience for the volatility with Dutch Bros, I think it'll pay off if you have a longer term outlook here because the expansion that they are doing is absolutely insane. They opened 37 new shops, including 32 company operated across 10 states just in Q4. For the full year, 159 new shops were opened, bringing the total count to 831. They plan to get to 3,500, I believe, by the end of 27 or 28. System shop sales rose by 5% in Q4. Full year system same shop sales grew 2.8%. Um, they announced leadership team expansions and a project to establish a more supportive organizational structure. 2024 outlook here, they expect total revenues between 1.19 billion and 1.220, with the same shop sales growth in the low single digits and adjusted EBITDA estimated between 185 and 195 million. So really good earnings numbers from Dutch Bros. The stock's only up 1%, but I think that the stock's going to do really well. I think long term it's going to be a great company to hold on to.
I don't know. I don't know if I have any thoughts on that. I mean, I do like how many they're putting up. Oh, who was it that put up 1,000,000 stores and just started closing a bunch right after? Got just a little bit ahead of themselves.
I don't know who
Uh,
was it.
gosh, I'm really trying to think. It wasn't drastic, but I think they cut like 30% of their stores after.
Starbucks.
No, man, who was it?
I would
But
be I would be okay with that if Dutch Bros wasn't growing at the way that they're growing. 26% year on year on revenue and now they're profitable and doing quite well. Like Krispy Kreme. There you go, Mike. That's what it was. It was Krispy Kreme.
yeah, yeah. As long as they keep that track record, then what they're on right now,
Yeah.
that'll ultimately be up to management. But just thinking off the top of my head, that's what I wouldn't want to see is something
Yeah.
like that happening. Because at that point, that would just suck, and you probably would see you'd see a drop. Which
Technician JD says, "Bros, not a great look chart. Not a great looking chart. Needs to go down. Needs to go from lower to left to upper right." Just saying. Yeah, I don't disagree. For me, it's not really necessarily about the chart that I'm looking at. It's more about the fundamentals here and just how fast they're growing. Um, I am not in favor of a lot of companies that grow at all costs that just continue to operate at a loss and expand. Dutch Bros is kind of doing the opposite. They're continuing to grow and spending money on new stores, new units, while also continuing to turn a profit, which is something that I love to see.
uh, if you want to post this as a poll, got a quick question. Does somebody want to help me and just start T-boning all the Teslas and Ford Lightning EVs? I'm trying to get Rivian up in market share, or should I start a GoFundMe? Uh, which way? Trying to leverage the audience here. Which way, how
I
can
don't
they
know what
help me
kind of
out?
poll, how I'm supposed to even word that poll.
T-bone a Tesla, or should Don start a GoFundMe for these Rivian shares? At this point, we'd be picking out a casket. Cody already said he's homeless when Ren Rivian came out.
Well, now you're worse than homeless.
That's what I'm saying. For every Tesla we take off the road, that's one more market share Rivian is there.
A lot of Teslas, man.
Everyone's saying Nvidia's out.
I don't
Looks
see
like
any movement.
everybody's excited. I bet we got do we finish this candle or we gonna go for it?
I don't know.
Thiago says buy the dip on Rivian. I appreciate that energy. I need that.
Yeah, Nvidia's up about a 0.5%. Not really anything crazy here.
What I'm curious about on Nvidia is did we sell off because somebody wanted cheap puts? Like does Pelosi know what's going on or does Pelosi know what's about to come out and she got out of her position and we'll just see that filing a little bit
Yeah.
later.
Congress people in general, right?
Yeah.
She loves herself some Nvidia though.
Yeah, I wonder why she got all the spotlight. She wasn't even the best one, but she sure got the spotlight for a lot of it.
I know. Yeah, there and in fact, I mean it was pretty split as far as like Republicans, Democrats in office in Congress. But
Mhm.
yeah, there was like I don't even remember who it was. One Republican that like stood out among the rest of them by a
Yeah.
lot.
I think
Like he
Pelosi was 4th or 5th, but
yeah,
there was a gap. I mean, there was a margin between the number 1 politician and Pelosi. I've never even
maybe it's
heard of that
because she's
guy's
like
name.
that's probably why, right? Because like Pelosi's so well known.
Yeah.
That's probably why.
Nvidia revenue 25.6 billion versus estimated 20.
I don't see these numbers. Where are they getting these from?
Is that good or bad though? Because weren't they talking about? I guess they were no. If the estimated was 20, I was thinking weren't they talking about a lot more? I guess that'd be forward guidance. Austin says both sides are corrupt. Yeah,
Yeah, no
and
shit.
water's wet.
Right, right. Yeah, sky's
Yeah,
blue.
yeah. You're not going to find any disagreements there.
Nope.
If those Nvidia numbers are out, I would
I
find
don't see anything.
yeah, I'm a little hard pressed to
I don't see anything. I've been
either.
refreshing like every minute here. Still waiting on those. But guys, we did cover Rivian. They ended up shitting the bed. Stock is getting crushed. We covered Etsy as well. Etsy came in mixed. They missed on earnings per share, but beat on revenue. We covered Dutch Bros as well. Dutch Bros had an incredible earnings. Um, Not a whole lot of movement in the stock, but the earnings numbers were actually quite good. So Nvidia, I see some people saying 420 was when the earnings are supposed to come out.
Looks like it's now because Palant, the AI stocks are reacting. At least Palant. That's why I pulled a Palantir, just because it's an AI stock.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Palantir's moving with Nvidia, both kind of bouncing.
Not much of there you go. Nvidia's moving up a
Don't
little
people
bit.
know that Rivian is an AI play?
Stock's up around 2.25% right now. Rivian's an AI play. Yeah.
Uh,
So record quarterly revenue, 22.1 billion. Is that what that person said?
to 25.
20. Yeah, that's okay. I'm seeing
Dum
22.
dum dum dum.
Yeah, 25. Get out of here. Yeah, I thought the expectation was 22. Yeah, here we go. Q4 adjusted earnings per share 516. They beat the 464 estimate. Sales came in at 22.1 billion, beating the 20.62 that was expected. That's according to Benzinga. I just want to cross reference here. I never like to grab from just one source, but yes, that is what I'm seeing. So $22 billion versus the 20.6 that was expected. 5.16 versus the 464 that was expected on earnings per share. Waiting to see the rest of those numbers as far as guidance is concerned. Obviously, we know that that's what influences these stocks the most. Now you're seeing Nvidia down around 3.5%. Not really surprising. We saw this kind of coming. We'll see why that sell-off is taking place. My guess is probably has to do with those guidance numbers. Maybe they're underwhelming a little bit, but as soon as they come out, as soon as I see them, I'll be happy to share that with you.
To the person who bought my put, if you're watching, can I have it back?
So Q4 adjusted gross margin 76.7 versus the 75.4 that was expected. Another great number. Nvidia Q4 data center revenue came in at 18.4 versus the 17.21 billion, coinciding with the AI craze. That's the number that they want to continue to see go up. Still waiting to see guidance numbers. Q1. Oh, here we go. Q1 revenue is expected to be at 24 billion. The expectation there was at 21.9. So current quarter that we're in, guidance there looks quite good. Still not quite sure why the sell off. If I don't see anything in these earnings that indicate a good reason why there's a sell off, I think that we could deduce that perhaps they still didn't do enough
Mhm.
to impress investors. Even though I think these numbers are pretty impressive.
Yeah, but impressive's not going to get the job done with Nvidia. And I
No,
was
yeah.
just kidding. Rivian's not an AI play, people. It's an anti AI play.
Hit that thumbs up if you're enjoying the stream so far. I got about 256 of you guys hanging in here. 76 likes, which I feel like is still on the low side. So hit that thumbs up if you guys are enjoying the stream so far. You want to come back tomorrow, make sure you hit that subscribe and that notification bell at 3:45 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be back to cover a lot of stocks as well that I'll be reporting. Square or Block, whatever they want to call it today, is one of the big ones that we'll be reporting tomorrow, among others. So make sure you guys are tuning in for that too. But we are currently reacting to Nvidia. Their earnings did come out and they crushed it. They crushed their earnings numbers, crushed guidance as well. Q4 revenue came in at 22.1 billion versus the 20.6 that was expected. Earnings per share $5.16 versus the 463 that was expected. Guidance numbers also came in pretty good. $24 billion plus or minus 2% expected in Q1 versus a 22.16 that the street was expecting. I don't know how much better you want those numbers to be honest with you. A guide that's $2 billion more than what the street was expecting is pretty damn good. Um, so even with this sell off, I would say there could be some buying opportunities here. This continues
Uh,
to sell off.
I would let the dust settle,
Yeah,
but, if you're gonna hold this for any amount of time, do I think Nvidia will be 680 by the end of this year? No. As a trade, I would let the dust settle. If I'm gonna hold this for any amount of time, I would buy the dip right here. And I give this reference a lot. If I'm gonna buy 10 shares, I'll buy 3 now, 5 later, I'd probably, if I didn't have in it, and I was gonna buy 10 shares, I'd buy 4 right now.
yeah.
That way, in case if it does dip, the 6 I would buy later would cost me a lot less. Um, uh, yeah, and ride that back up.
Palantir doesn't seem to be directly reacting to this much. As you can see it on the left hand side of your screen there, guys. Rivian did just pop back green here after it was down around 3.5%. Just
Rivian.
barely. We're up around 0.7% right now in the green.
Let's do. I just want to check some other AI stocks. Looks like a lot of the AI. It's the Nvidia's just moving tech in general because they went down. They're kind of recovering. Microsoft's doing the same. Google's doing the same.
Yeah.
What's Meta doing? Meta a little bit down, back up. Looks like anything AI related is following Nvidia.
It's like nobody knows what to make of these earnings, which is kind of crazy.
Uh, I think it, I think we priced in a lot of these earnings. They'd had to come out and just swing for the fences and bat 1,000 across the board for Nvidia to really have a green reaction.
Revenue is up 265% year over year.
Yeah, but if you're Apple and you're just selling the iPhone, the first one, yeah,
Yeah.
everybody's coming for it. But that's why I talked about this the other day. And for anybody that doesn't or hasn't seen it, go watch the other video. That is my AI character, the little illustration guy, where it says I'm selling Nvidia. That's not clickbait. I explain why and everything like that. So I don't want to just drag it out again. But I think we priced in quite a bit at the $800 mark. We were just shy of. So I had zero problem selling right there for a bit.
Stock is up around 1.5% now. Just to go over a couple other revenue numbers, data center revenue for the fourth quarter was up 409% from a year ago and up 27% sequentially. So that's quarter over quarter. Gaming revenue was up 56% from a year ago, too. That's actually impressive. I didn't realize the gaming was growing that fast. Professional visualization revenue was up 105% from a year ago and up 11% sequentially. Automotive revenue was actually down 4% from a year ago and up 8% sequentially. So run for the fences, run for the hills, sell this off because of the automotive revenue. Uh, Stock is continuing to move up now, though. It's up around 2.25%. Outlook for the first quarter of fiscal year 2025 are as follows. Revenue is expected to be around 24 billion versus the 22 that was expected. You guys heard me talk about that earlier. GAAP and non-GAAP gross margins are expected to be 76.3 and 77 respectively, plus or minus 50 basis points. GAAP and non-GAAP operating expenses are expected to be around 3.5 billion and 2.5 billion respectively. GAAP and non-GAAP and other income expenses are expected to come in at approximately 250 million, excluding gains and losses from non-affiliated investments. GAAP and non-GAAP tax rates are be 17% plus or minus 1%. So, and the stocks continue to go up from here now. It's up now another 3.5%.
Yeah, went right to the just shy of the expected move and bounced. Looks like the fireworks might be done. We're just staying well within our range. Market makers had this one priced. James, if you remember our conversation, it's Palantir time. Uh, anyway, I've seen one
Still
Rivian
climbing here.
vehicle
It's
in
now up
Phoenix.
4.5%.
We just broke the $700 mark.
Yeah, we're sitting at 705.
708. 706. Maybe 707. 706.
I'm looking at it right now. Unless 708 now, yeah. 710. Just saw 710 get hit.
Gabe says eating. Oh, yeah. Jason, eating canned ramen tonight.
What a crazy move. So it came down right down to the bottom of that expected move.
Mhm.
And now it's continuing to move right on up. It's now up over 5% here after hours.
what we need is Rivian's an AI play. It's back on. Bounce out of this zone. Get in there.
Palantir now moving with Nvidia now as well.
Mm. Let's check some of the other ones. Let's see what Google's up to. Is Google up? A little bit of a gap up there.
Nvidia is now up over 6%. Wow, what a crazy move.
Microsoft pushing. Meta's pushing.
This stock originally sold off
Well,
or down around 3.5% and just has bounced and it's getting going crazy.
yeah. And so far, basically tech is doing the same thing. And if you're on the mobile phone, you can't see every one of these has that. Every one I just pulled up, Google, Apple, Microsoft, they all have that wick down and now starting to push up.
Yep.
So Nvidia remains to just run the market. There's QQQ. Just
Well,
remains.
should be a green day tomorrow on the markets overall.
Nvidia's Don's biggest regret. I don't think you're paying attention. I've made a lot of money off of Rivian. Now I am glad I sold that put.
It's now up 6.5% here. It's still climbing.
I needed 850.
You need it at 850.
Yeah.
For what?
So my calls get exercised.
Oh, yeah.
I decided I can't just. It feels wrong to just flat out sell Nvidia. So I'm just gonna start selling calls. I'm gonna start selling the 40 Delta calls on it, and when it gets assigned, it gets exercised. It gets exercised.
And explain that to people in case they don't know. So like you're basically managing risk at this point. You're not going crazy on Nvidia going long. You're also not telling everybody to sell it all and go short. You're just
Right.
managing the risk here with that type of move.
Yeah. So if I have 100 shares of something, I'm collecting rent on it. And if you guys watch the there's a video I just did right here on this channel, but it's learn how to. Oh, Pan W just crossed my line. Time for me to buy that. Learn how to roll options. I just explained what I was doing in there. But for every 100 shares I have, I'm collecting rent on that. So for my Nvidia shares, I sold the 850 call, and someone bought it from me for $505. So if Nvidia goes to 850 or higher, I sell my shares to him. The shares get called away. That's where the options gets its name from. They get called away at 850. Plus, I collect the $500 per 100 shares. So I've had Nvidia sub 100. It's been in my account for a while. And so I wanted to use those funds for something else, but I also wanted to make more money to exit. So that's what I'm doing. And as far as the 40 deltas, when you're looking at the options chain, the 40 deltas is a 60% chance. I'm going to keep that guy's money. 40% chance we reach that level. So I'll likely avoid assignment maybe a couple weeks or two, but if it does pop off or kind of get weird 1 week, then I let the shares go. And then again, I'll use those funds for something else.
There you go.
Is there a chance that Nvidia drops again? I would FOMO and buy everything right now. Probably never again.
Captain Dave says Soundhound is also jumping with Nvidia. No surprise there. Soundhound has been an absolute monster of a stock too. Another stock that's just growing like mad. Absolutely insane growth of that stock.
Right now, we're just kind of hanging out sideways for sound. It hasn't done anything. So if they partnered with it. They got the ramp up. It's just based out right here. Breaking above or below these red lines I have on the chart here, that will likely be your signal of going bullish or bearish. So that's kind of what I'm hanging out here. And to wrap up with Luca, not to just leave you on a sarcastic answer. Been doing this for, well, I guess 11 years now. 12? 11.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every candle has always been red or green. Every time. Never changed. It will go up. It will go down. It will ebb and flow. The better you get at losing, the more money you'll make. So if you're worried about anything, just make sure you have your risk managed. Nvidia is now at 867.32. Captain Dave, I would consider dropping whatever brokerage you're with, or actually selling all your shares. Because if I could sell my shares at 867.32, I would do it. You could just look at the screen you're watching this on because Nvidia's smack dab right in the middle. We can see it right now.
Yeah, in all seriousness, it's sitting up around 6.5% at 718 right now. It did pop up to around, I think, 720 at one point. 726 was the after hours high here. So not too far off from its all-time highs.
Hmm. You know what's not sitting off its all-time highs?
What?
Rivian, but we're almost at above the $13 mark. So things are looking positive.
Palantir or Palo Alto too.
Oh yeah, I just got that alert. I wanted to get in that tomorrow. I'm gonna have to move this alert up,
Look at all
and
the
I set
directions.
alerts above just so I don't forget about it. Tomorrow, I'm not gonna flat out buy shares again. I'm gonna sell. I'm gonna sell the two. If we're up here, I'll sell the 260. I'm gonna sell an at the money put. So if it's up here tomorrow, I'll sell the 265 put. That way, I get paid to buy the stock.
There you go.
Captain Day says I was joking, fishing for your reaction. I know. Those get me too when people put that in the comments. Like if I'm not watching, if I'm just listening in the stream and I see someone read that or something, I'm like, "Are you serious?" I jump straight to the brokerage. It's gotten me a few times. I know exactly
Yeah.
what's going on.
Don loves to react to comments. That's his favorite.
I know it's hard.
he can't. He
Hard
can't.
not
He
to.
can't not do it. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's show. Certainly appreciate you guys tuning in. We covered everything. We got Rivian, Etsy, Lucid, Dutch Bros. If you missed it, go back and watch it. But obviously, Nvidia, the big dog here. As we leave you, the stock is up around 6%, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, they had great earnings, they crushed it, and guidance also absolutely smashed. For context, guys, I mean, revenue year over year was a whopping 265%. Be interesting to see what this current quarter looks like when we get earnings from them next time around. But guys, we also have earnings that we're going to be reacting to tomorrow as well. As mentioned, told you guys at 3:45 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow, I'll be live again to react to Square, aka Block, Carvana, Mercado Libre, Booking Holdings, Intuit, Live Nation. They're all going to be reporting tomorrow as well. So make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Would love to have you guys back. And if you're leaving, make sure you hit that thumbs up on the way out the door as well. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll catch you all tomorrow.
Bang, bang, boom. Have a good one.